Alright, good evening everyone. Welcome back to TCR, Trinity Competitive Racing, and we are back again with some more action coming your way from Japan here tonight. Welcome to the Golden Class in Season 10. This is round 3, and we are in Japan, as I already mentioned, at the Suzuka International Racing Course. It's a beautiful track. It's a beautiful place to be at. I think most of our drivers and most drivers in real life even absolutely love driving around here. It's a very flowing track with 18 corners. Some of them are technical, some of them are very quick, some of them are slow. It's got really a very good mix of everything that you can ask from a good racing track. And tonight in the booth is BLIN-MACHINE again, and with me tonight making his return to the commentary booth is Chatty Duck. How you doing tonight?
I'm very good, Blin. Thanks for the introduction. I'm excited to see these guys once again. We had a pretty exciting race in China last week. Lots of interesting strategies and a bit of controversy with safety cars and penalties and the like. So hopefully we can have a similarly interesting race tonight on an absolute classic Formula One track, the Suzuka circuit, as you mentioned. Plenty of historical Formula One moments down the years at this track. The names that come to mind when I think about this circuit are the likes Alan Prost and even Kamui Kobayashi, who made some pretty bonsai overtakes here a few years ago at the hairpin. And it's worth just saying as well that again we are running regular corner cutting for this circuit, but the stewards will be looking out for extending or cutting at a few of the corners here, turns 16 and 17, especially for corner cutting, which is the Casio triangle at the end of the lap before the pit straight. And also for extensions, we're looking at turns 8 and 9, which are the Degner curves, and turn 13 on the exit as well, which is spoon curb.
Yeah, that was good timing there, mentioning all of those corners, as we saw Red Wing Racing completing a lap going through the last couple of corners, through the last chicane on the track, and he did a very good time, a 127.7 on his medium tire, on the soft tire, and so you guys a rundown of everyone. So M9H Racing is currently leading the pack with a 127.224. He's out there on another brand new set of soft tires. TCR Jones is out there on an outlap as well. He's very, very close behind M9H Racing. 127.238 from him, and then very closely followed as well by Bam Bam with 127.245. So basically, ISRL Knight has just lost it out of the hairpin. That's turn 11, and he's out. He's crashed. His front left tire has come off the car because he hit the wall. Wow, so we already have some drama. It looks like Asio is out of the race as well. He's crashed out around corner 7.
Yeah, I didn't see what happened to him, but I can just see him on the track map. Yeah, that's... Yeah, the end of the S curve section, I don't know, maybe he got on the gravel on the outside and just lost it into the wall, I suppose. But yeah, it's surprising. We didn't really see this in China last week, but Japan is definitely a circuit where there's a lot of gravel, which, you know, if you run a little bit wide, you can really have your lap end in disaster. I'm just thinking back to, I think it was 2015 when Danny Kvyat had a huge off in the Red Bull, just coming up to turn 11. So yeah, this is a classic F1 track, as we've mentioned, but also a very unforgiving one at certain areas of the track.
And just thinking to last night at Silver Class, we had, I think, a total of 6 DNFs in the race. So we've already got 2 victims here tonight in the likes of Asio and ISRL Knight, and we haven't even made it through qualifying. So this track, as I said, you know, it's a driver's track. The drivers like it a lot, but it doesn't mean that it's an easy one to drive around. It's very technical, especially, I would say, through the first 2 sectors. Sector 3 is really just a couple of corners and a chicane before you make it to the end of the lap. Spoon curve would be, I would say, you know, the only one that would be a little bit technical around the third sector. But yeah, I mean, other than that, the first sector especially is just such a technical sector to get through, and I think it's going to take some more victims throughout the race. I'm pretty sure we will see a safety car here tonight. I mean, you know, if we had 2 of them in silver, I'm expecting at least a couple of them here tonight in golden as well.
Yep, TCR Jones has just smashed the pole time that M9H set. He's done a 126.6. That's half a second quicker than the Williams driver did. I'm just on board with M9H, and he's come into the pits. So yeah, TCR Jones half a second clear of the field at the moment. We still have a couple of guys at the back who have not set a time. One of them being Siegrist in the Mercedes. I think he did this last week at China as well. He seems to like to leave it late in qualifying and then set a blistering time, as he did. And we've also got Ben Swerven still in the pits, having not set a lap time so far in quali.
Siegrist is just coming up to 130R, so he's just gonna have the last chicane before he's gonna go out on his hot lap. So far, one person is down into the 126s, and as Chatty there mentioned, it's Jones with a 126.6, so he's 6/10 clear of M9H Racing at the moment. Bam Bam and Aerofizzen and Intent are all very, very close behind. Here comes Siegrist across the line. Oh no, he's just starting out his lap now, apparently. I'm not sure if he invalidated on the previous one or if that was a out lap and my graphic was not correct there. But anyways, Siegrist now through the S's. Oh, losing the back there. Sideways. Absolutely, almost losing the car completely. Managing to keep it together, though. That will definitely lose him a bunch of time. I'm not sure if he's going to continue on. Yeah, he is continuing on this lap. And this is going to be interesting how much that little slide there is going to affect him. He's coming up to the end of the first sector now. I didn't catch his time there, but it looks pretty good. Into the hairpin he goes now. Gets a very good smooth run out of there, getting smoothly onto the power, short shifting through the gears to get up into the high gears and get a really good run into the spoon curve, dodging Aerofizzen out of the way there, almost touching the grass. I think he did make contact with the grass there just with one tire, and now making it through the second half of spoon, getting a great run on the outside curb there, using as much of the regular track limits as we're allowing the drivers to use. And there we go, a purple second sector for Siegrist. So let's see how good of a lap this is going to be. Just the last chicane to deal with now. He gets a good run there, keeping the one tire on the track at all times, getting a good run through the outside, and he goes into the pits. So now he's got 4.5 minutes to go, just enough time to get out there, but a lot of people are now coming out onto the track. Bam Bam, Aerofizzen, M9H Racing, all of them are out there on their hot laps right now.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed riding on board with a few of these guys so far, they seem to be getting quite sort of tail happy through some of the turns. Like, they're losing the back end quite a lot, and I wonder if that is sort of a feature of the setup that's required around here to be quick, is to maybe have a bit more of a loose car, which requires more control from the drivers in terms of, you know, steering input and throttle application. They really need to be smooth with those on a track such as this, because as we said before, it's an unforgiving circuit. You can run wide and crash and lose a tire or a wing very easily. I'm just on board with Flying Jippo at the moment, who of course won the last race in China after getting a 5-second penalty, but having that rescinded after the race, I believe. And he's just coming through the final 2 corners now and up to the start-finish line, so I'm just going to see what kind of a lap time he does here. He's in the 27s at 127.181, so still half a second off TCR Jones, who seems to have a pretty good handle of this track so far. He's easily the clerk of the field at the moment.
M9H Racing, they're going through Spoon, getting a pretty good exit out of that corner. He was holding on to pole position right before Flying Jippo, and TCR Jones have completely robbed them off that. Flying Jippo has just come across the line a few moments ago there and said that 127.1, but here comes M9H Racing running down to the line, opening up the DRS, and it looks like he's staying at a 127.2 so far, but going for another lap here I'm not sure if our drivers are using 2 laps to warm up the tires, or if, again, our graphics are just showing us the wrong thing. Oh, very tail happy out of the end of corner 1 there, and almost losing the car, but managing to keep it together pretty well. Now through the S's, there's a yellow flag at the hairpin. I'm not sure who that was for, but everybody seems to be still on the track, and we're now down to the last 2 minutes here. Jones is just come out of the lap. I was just gonna say he's still in the pits, but he's just come out on his out lap, just giving himself enough time to make it. Intent is coming out as well. Just to mention, Flying Jippo is currently the leader of the championship here. Oh, there goes Bam Bam with a 126.5. Wow, that is very, very quick from Bam Bam. But back to the driver championship right now. Flying Jippo, 38 points after 2 rounds. Aero Fizen, 30 points, tied with Asio after 2 rounds. So those guys are very close together. And then very closely followed by Zegrease with 26 points and Intent with 25 points. So basically everybody from the leaders down to Red Wing Racing right now in, I think he's in 7th place or 8th place. They're all separate, or 6th place. They're all separated by only 18 points. So that's going to be a very, very close battle here. I'm expecting, especially in Japan, where, you know, there's definitely a possibility of safety cars. There's possibility of incidents. The strategy plays not really too much of an effect here, I would have to say. I mean, you can stretch out the tires as long as you don't overheat them. But what do you think is the best strategy for our drivers, or what do you think is key here tonight, Chatty Duck?
Well, I think the first thing that's going to be important here is just staying out of trouble. You know, don't get involved in any crashes or incidents that are going to lose you a heap of time, because as we've said a few times already, this is a very challenging driver circuit. In terms of tyre strategy, it looks like everyone's going for the soft tyres. We did have ISRL Knight on the mediums, but obviously he crashed out and he's down in 13th, so he's going to be able to choose whichever tyres he likes for the race. So I don't know if we're going to have a similar situation to what we had in China with you know, plenty of guys going for the one-stop, starting on the medium or the hard tyres. It looks like everyone's pretty comfortable on the softs, and they can get the drivers a fair distance into this race. So maybe we'll see a Intent, 0.015 of a second behind Bam Bam in 2nd place. That's very close for pole. We had 2 drivers setting the exact same time last week in China, and we've nearly had a repeat of that here in Intent, just slotting in behind Bam Bam.
So TCR Jones and Aero Fizen are both out there right now on their final hot laps. It looks like TCR Jones has given up. He is not pushing on his lap. Aero Fizen is going to be the only one who's really still pushing right now on the hot lap. Everybody else seems to be retiring or sitting in the pits at this point in time. So let's see what Aero is going to be able to do here. He's coming around Spoon right now and heading down into 130R on the long run. I always feel like this long run into 130R should have a DRS zone in it, because honestly, else to really overtake, and if there was just a little bit of that DRS available in that little section, I feel like it could probably encourage more people to go for overtakes into 130R, and obviously that would be entertaining. But here comes Aero Fizen across the line, only makes it to 4th place with a 126.8, and that means that Bam Bam is gonna hold down pole position with a 126.528, very closely followed by Intent with a 126.544. So only 16 thousandths of a second separating those guys.
Yeah, and at the back of the grid, Zegrease did not set a lap time, which is very surprising. I mean, he is in 4th position in the championship at the moment, and I think he was the one who set the exact same lap time as Intent in qualifying last time, if I'm remembering correctly, to have, well, a share of pole position, but in the end he's started in 2nd for the race. So 2 drivers not setting a lap time at all. We didn't see what happened to them. Don't know if they crashed or ran out of time or whatever. Maybe they just fancied starting at the back. It's actually coming in right now in the comments. So it appears that Ben Swerven and Zegrease both have back of the grid penalties.
so they're not allowed to qualify in the session in order for them to start at the back. I think that is, yeah, I think that is due to some incidents from last week, possibly. Unfortunately, I'm not really sure about that, but yeah, that's gonna spice up things, because we know that Seagrease has some good pace. He's currently sitting in 4th place in the championship, and only 4 points behind Asio and Aerofizen. Last week, you know, it wasn't the best of weeks for him. I mean, it was one of the best weeks for him. He came 2nd. He was on the podium, and the first round wasn't the best week for him when he came 6th. So if you eliminate that one, if he has a better result here today, he can definitely bounce up a few points and go up in the position. So Bam Bam on pole in 10th, in 2nd, Jones in 3rd, Aerofizen in 4th position, Flying Jippo in 5th, M9H Racing in 6th, You Having a Giggle in 7th, Golden Raider is going to be starting in 9th, McLaren P1 and Golden Raider in 8th, McLaren P1 in 9th, Red Wing Racing in 10th, Asio 11th, D'Angelo 12th, ISRL Knight crashed out of the session, and Ben Swerven and Z-Grease have penalties that make them start at the back of the grid. So, get settled into this one. Last night's Silver Class in Japan was definitely one of the most exciting races we've had so far in this season. So, get ready for this one, as I'm expecting Golden Class to be just as close and just as exciting. Chadi, like, who do you think, you know, out of the people who are possibly not starting on the front row, who do you think here might surprise us?
Well, I mean, we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on Segrist, who is starting right at the back, and we know, as you said before, he has pretty good pace. It's good to see TCR Jones was right up there. He was on pole for a while, but I think he dropped back a few positions on the grid, so hopefully we can see a strong race from him. And I'm just wondering who else outside of like those top 2 guys. Flying Jippo obviously is our championship leader, and I believe he's starting in 5th place for this race as they're on the grid now. And yeah, that's Flying Jippo in 5th, and he was kind of the master in China of pulling off the one stop, and he started way back in 13th at that race and came back to win. So an astonishing recovery from Flying Jippo in China. So yeah, starting from 5th today, we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on him as well to see what he can do during the course of this race. But I'm also interested to see what Intent can do. He's starting in 2nd place. Seems to be very good on pace, but he had some bad luck in China last week and a few incidents that caused him to finish, I think, actually outside of the points in the end. So maybe he'll have a little bit of fire from that, a little bit of kind of motivation, extra motivation to try and get a good result today as well. And we saw there a message coming up saying that You Having a Giggle Mate has been disqualified from the formation lap along with Gold Orator. Didn't see that.
They had a little bit of a touch and spun out just coming to the end of the S's there, so they're going to be placed onto the grid automatically. One person out following around the track on this warm-up lap right now is the first person outside of, well, actually one of the only 3 people on the whole grid that are starting on an alternate strategy. They're not starting on that soft tire. Asio is starting on the medium, while Ben Swerven and Z-Grease right at the back are starting on the hard tire. I think that's actually a very good call from them. But Asio was our driver of the day last week in China, mainly because he started way down on the grid. I'm pretty sure he was down in 14th or 13th or somewhere near there, and then he recovered amazingly from lap 25 to lap 28. He managed to go from 11th to 3rd. He managed to get a podium in 3 laps after the restart. That was absolutely amazing from him. And now he's in 11th again, down the grid, just like last week, starting on the alternate strategy, just like last week. Is this going to be another amazing drive from him? So let's get ready for that as people are now starting to make it back onto the grid. Just a reminder again, Bam Bam, Intent are going to be on that front row. Intent is your your winner from last week in China, or sorry, from the first week in Bahrain. So he's already got a win under his belt. He's going to be trying to recover from last week in China when he had not a very good race and finished outside of the points in 13th place. So everybody's lined up on the grid right now. We've got a pretty good view of the front 5 rows or so. Looking on board from Jones, and once the race is going to start, going to try and find a good angle. There we go. Lights are going on now. 4 lights, 5 lights. We will go racing now in Japan for Season 10, Round 3 in Golden Class. And looking on board now, it looks like Aerophysn got an amazing start, and he's already attacking down on Jones. He snatched 3rd position away from him right at the start there. Back a little bit further, we've got battling between Flying Jippo and D'Angelo, and Flying Jippo is up into 7th place there very, very quickly, making up some places. In Japan, you don't really have too many opportunities to overtake. There aren't many DRS zones. There's just the one, so you really got to make your opportunities.
Asio spun round.
Oh,
Asio
no!
spun round in the S curbs, and he's right at the back of the pack now.
Yep,
so
doesn't have any damage
that we
though.
were talking about.
He might still recover, doesn't have any damage. You still don't know what's going to happen as well. We might still have some safety cars and things later on in the race, but coming back to the front, M9H Racing is right on the back of Aerophysn and trying to overtake through the hairpin. Didn't quite have enough space there, so he's going to have to try again. Everybody's pretty much still in a very nice uniform train within a couple of tenths of each other, close battling all over the track.
Yeah, and the predicted pit stop strategy has just come up, saying that the drivers on the soft tyres, they can do a one-stop, they can go to the hards quite early on. So potentially that's going to eradicate some of the advantage for the guys at the back. I'm just seeing D'Angelo having a go at Flying Jippo. He's gone down the inside, going into the Casio triangle, but they're side by side. I think D'Angelo has managed to get that done around the outside. D'Angelo, I'm not quite sure what position this is for. The timing screens have gone a bit crazy with the positions, but either way, ISRL Knight has moved up a couple of positions, and Flying Jippo looks like he might lose another position to McLaren as well. So this has not been a good start for Flying Jippo.
At the front though, in 10th, Jones and Bam Bam. Your top 3 are still keeping very, very close to each other. Bam Bam leading them in 10th and 2nd. Jones in 3rd. Aerophysn within a 6th of a second. Within 6/10 of a second behind them as well, and building out a pretty good gap down to M9H Racing in 5th. It looked like to me when I was watching aboard there with McLaren that he had a spin, and now he's had another spin as well, and he is on.
Oh, yes.
He's also got a 10-second penalty for exceeding track limits because he had to drive on the gravel there for so long to come back onto the track, so he's all the way down in 14th, and now Asio is very, very closely catching up to him. Looking out at the front there, Flying Jippo dropped down to 10th position somehow. I'm not sure what happened to him. I have a yellow flag here in the 3rd sector. Somebody is off. It looks like you having a giggle. Yeah, he had to go off there and go onto the gravel as well at the exit of the Spoon Curve. I'm not sure if he just lost it there, if he had an incident with somebody. But
D'Angelo and ISRL Knight are going side by side through 130R. I think ISRL Knight.
A little bit of touching there.
Moved on. Yep. And they're coming up to the finish line. ISRL 9.
Jones is into the pits. What happened to Jones? How did he drop down? He is in his 8th place right now, and he's going into the pits. I'm not sure what happened to him, but he's gonna really have to recover from this. This is gonna be horrible. Going on to the hard tire now, so committing to the one-stop strategy, replacing his front wing as well, so he had damage. That is absolutely horrible for Jones. Meanwhile, ISRL Knight is making his way through the positions. He started in oh, it's not showing me where he started, but I'm pretty sure he started around 11th or 10th or 9th, and he's up into 5th place right now and trying to catch up to D'Angelo. We have a yellow flag in the 1st sector. It looks like you having a giggle. No, it's not him. It's somebody else. Yeah, no, it was you having a giggle. Had another moment there coming through the S's.
Yep, and both Red Bulls actually pitted at the same time just now, so they double stacked, which has resulted horribly for Flying Jippo. I think he had a wing change too, and he's now dead last, 13 seconds back from TCR Jones in 14th place. So again, we didn't really see what happened there, but a few drivers pitting for wing changes, I believe, and yeah, a bit of a nightmare for those guys. The 2 Red Bulls who are leading the championship, just having a bit of a shocker here early on in the race. Arrow's in 13th and Jippo's in 15th place.
Unbelievable things there off the start. Honestly, Japan and Suzuka, they never disappoint. You always get exciting things and very unexpected racing, and it really testing out all of our drivers here today. You have to not just be quick, but you have to be quick and patient, because again, this is Suzuka, as now ISRL Knight makes another position up into 4th place, into the first corner. D'Angelo had to go wide there, but now ISRL Knight is going wide. D'Angelo is going to try and go around him into turn 3. Let's see if that's going to work for him. It doesn't work for him, and he's going to have to wait until next time when he has another better chance. But in the meantime, SRL Knight is all the way up into 4th place from his starting position of 13th. He was 13th. He's now up into 4th place.
And up at the front, Bam Bam and Intent are having a great battle as well. They're only separated by 2 or 3 tenths of a second, and they actually were going side by side into turn 1, but Intent had to back out of it. So might be worth staying above with Intent for the lap and just see if he can get it done with the DRS into turn 1 on, it'll be lap 5. So they're just coming through onto the back straight now, which comes up to 130R. Segrist, by the way, is already up to 7th place on his hard tyres. He started last, so that's a great start for him as well.
Intent lost a little bit of time there at the exit of Spoon, but now he's gained that time back again into the last chicane as they're now coming out of turn 17 and into turn 18. A little bit of a bump that used to exist there is no longer there on this game, thank goodness, but I've actually discovered there's a new bump closer to the inside of that corner now. So if you try to go closer to down the inside, you will get some trouble. Oh, TCR Jones is a DNF. What happened to him? We are on board now with Flying Jippo. We have a virtual safety car. It looks like it happened at the exit of Spoon. I'm trying to locate him here. Yeah, there it goes. He's on the outside. He's hit the wall on the outside. Oh my goodness, that sucks for him. Flying Jippo there slowing down right in time for us to catch a glimpse of Jones on the outside, and he is our first victim in the race. We are now under virtual safety car, so Intent and Bam Bam are gonna have to wait for their battle. Bam Bam locks up there on the exit of the second Degna curve. That is not gonna help him out in this race, but oh my goodness, this is turning out to be a classic TCR Golden Class race. There's a lot of position changes, a lot of drama already. Leaders are no longer your leaders. Wow, it's kicking off, and it's only lap 5 of 27.
Yeah, and You're Having a Giggle, mate, actually pitted under virtual safety car, but he did get a 5-second penalty for speeding into the pit lane, so any advantage he might
It's actually a drive-through penalty, which is even worse for him.
Oh no, so that's quite unfortunate for You Having a Giggle. So now battle rejoined, Bam Bam and Intent up front. Intent is closing in the slipstream and braking very late into Casino Triangle rather, not the Casino Square. And yeah, up to the line now, and the DRS is going to be wide open for Intent. I think this is going to be a bit of a slam dunk, to be honest. He's up the inside of Bam Bam and moving into the lead of the Japanese Grand Prix in Golden Class, and he's made that stick, I believe. Looks like Bam Bam has conceded the position, so we have a new leader in this Grand Prix.
There he goes, Intent up into the lead of this Grand Prix. As you mentioned, Golderator and D'Angelo are battling for 4th position. It looks like Golderator is just a couple of tenths behind him. Very, very close battling here all throughout the race, from the first couple of corners all the way up to now. We've had a virtual safety car, but we've back on under green flag conditions now, and DRS is back enabled as well. And what happened to Bam Bam there? He's now losing a lot of time on Intent. He's already outside of the DRS zone. It's so actually easy to lose somebody's DRS on this track, because you really, you only have that one zone. So if you mess up on one lap and you lose a little bit of time, there's nowhere else to recover it. Now Golderator is going to think about going down the inside into Spoon. He pushes D'Angelo a little bit wide there. Now D'Angelo makes a tiny bit of contact with the back of Golderator's car, but Golderator now up into 4th position. But here comes D'Angelo back at him with his overtake enabled into 130 down the inside. He goes and pushes Golderator a little bit wide there, but it was fair play, I think, from both of them through both of those corners. winners in this battle. It's not over yet. Now, Golderator is going to have the DRS. He has 0 overtake, absolutely 0 now. Now he's unable to get because he's wasted too much on that same lap. He's going to be very close now. He's going to go around the outside into turn 1. Is it going to work out for him? It looks like D'Angelo is giving him enough space there. He's being smart about it. He does not want to risk any sort of damage. But now look at ISRL Knight. He is right behind him. I'm not sure what happened to him. He was up into 4th position, but now he's down into 6th. Must have lost a little bit of time. I don't think he's pitted yet. Let me just make sure of that. He did not make a stop. So only Aero Fizz and You Having a Giggle and Flying Jippo were our only people who have pitted so far.
I don't know about you, Blin, but my heart was in my mouth then for a couple of corners because D'Angelo and Golderator were side by side, and then coming into turn 1, they were all 3 of them were converging on each other because Golderator and ISRL Knight had DRS on D'Angelo, and that could have been an absolute plane crash if they got it wrong, but pretty good driving from all the guys to keep that clean. And now we've got ISRL Knight all over the back of D'Angelo, so he's trying to make some ground up from earlier. As you said, he was up to 4th place at one point, but he's lost a little bit of time on the back straight coming up towards 130R, so he might have to bide his time a little bit before trying to make a move on D'Angelo for what would be 5th place. Intent is now 1.7 seconds clear of Bam Bam. He did set a fastest lap of 130.1, I think it was, off the top of my head, about a lap ago, so it looks like Intent has the pace at the moment in this race.
And huge thank you to everybody who's already joined the stream and been watching so far. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave us a like, leave us some comments, let us know what you guys are thinking about this race so far. I mean, from our perspective, it's looking to be one hell of a race, and we're only on lap 8 of 27, so we still got 19 laps more to go, and I'm expecting that we will have a lot more action coming your way. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't yet. It really helps us out. We're trying to expand our audience and make sure that this racing action reaches out to as many people as possible. Also, check out the link in the description for our affiliate sponsor, Fanatec. If you're thinking of getting some gear for yourself, you can support the league by doing so, and of course get some amazing gear as well. There we go. We've got some comments coming in. Zendermar reminding the drivers that no crashing is allowed, so please don't crash anyone. Although we already have some people that unfortunately have DNF'd, TCR Jones DNF'd in the race, but we also had ISRL Knight and someone else that didn't make it through qualifying, so it's a tricky track. I don't blame anybody for losing it. I personally had a ridiculous race here last night in Silver Class, starting from 12th position. I made my way up to 4th. Then I spun out. ISRL Knight is going to go into the pits now. Let's see what kind of tire he's going to go on. I'm guessing he's probably going to go on the hard and do a 1-stop here. But yeah, back to Silver Class last night. I ended up getting damaged and having to change my front wing, changing my strategy. We had 2 safety cars, and throughout all of the Wreckfest and the safety car madness that we had, I managed to climb my way back up into 4th position and was just a couple of seconds away from the podium. So anything can happen on this track. Is just so unpredictable. It's so exciting. Intent, I think, has now, yeah, he's made his stop. He's on the hard tire and he's in 10th position. He does have a little bit of traffic though. McLaren P1 and Best Swerven are in his way, and they're not in his way in a very good part of the track. Osseo goes off the track there, and then that means Intent is now up to 9th position. And oh my god, McLaren is very, very slow compared to Intent. So Intent is trying to make his way around him. He's going to go down the outside. Oh no, he touches the curb and he goes off the track, and he touched a little bit of the wall there. I'm not sure if he's got any damage. He does. He's missing an end plate, his right end plate, and now he's back behind Osseo again. McLaren keeps that position in 8th. No fault of his own. It was just really Intent losing the car there. You Having a Giggle losing the car through turn 1. He's cutting some grass there on the outside.
Yeah, Intent, I mean, I understand his haste in trying to get past McLaren because he was holding him up, but at the same time, it's just not worth the risk, especially around the outside of that corner. There was no way that was going to work, and, well, better to be, you know, in the race. You Having a Giggle was retired. Better to be, you know, in the race with a front wing rather than having this damage, and Intent's going to have to pit again, and that's going to just destroy his Grand Prix, unfortunately. We've got more drivers in the pits. McLaren is in the pits. Golden also, so...
Bam Bam just came out of the pits as well. He pitted from the lead, and he's back out in 6th.
Yeah, and Intent, does he have a penalty as well? Because his mechanics weren't doing anything there for a while, so the pain just grows for Intent. He's in last place, so that's really unfortunate for Intent. He's on the mediums though, so maybe he can get to the end on those tyres.
So in all of that, M9H Racing has now inherited the lead of the Grand Prix, and he is almost 5 seconds clear of D'Angelo. Z-Grease has made his way up into 3rd. He's running on the podium positions right now, and he's in a pretty good strategy as well. He started the race on that hard tire. He's still going on that hard tire. He's still putting in some pretty quick times, and he's 2.5 seconds behind D'Angelo, doing a very good job of keeping up with that front pack. Red Wing is now in 4th, Ben Swerving in 5th, Bam Bam in 6th position, Asio in 7th, again doing a pretty good job as well on that medium tire.
M9H pits.
Oh, there we go. So M9H is into the pits now. I'm guessing he's going to go on a hard tire as well. Although, I mean, only 16 laps to go. Can you go on the medium? He is going to go on the medium.
Yeah, that could be a big advantage because the hard tyres, they're durable, but they are slow. So compared to the medium tyres, which is probably the preferred race tyre for most people, you can certainly have a speed advantage on those tyres, and they've got 16 laps to make them work. It may be a little bit of a gamble, but, well, I guess we'll find out ultimately. But the two guys who started at the back of the grid and had a qualifying ban, they started on the hards and they're now 1st and 2nd, so there you go. That just shows how crazy things can go in Japan, and as I said before the race, just don't get involved in any incidents, and you know, this track will definitely reward you, and that's proven to be the case so far, as we have, as I said, the two guys started last, they're now 1st and 2nd. Bam Bam is in 3rd place, he's about 11 seconds behind Segrist, so when Segrist does pit, as long as you know this gap remains relatively constant, Bam Bam should inherit the lead again. But if Segrist can be on the soft tyres at the end with Bam Bam on old hard tyres, wow, that will be a huge advantage for Segrist.
And look at this guy, Asio04, currently running in 4th position after a very bad qualifying from him in 11th, and then he had an incident on, I think it was lap 2 or lap 1, and dropped all the way back to the end of the grid. But he is making his way up through the positions. He's still running on the tire that he started this race on. I would probably guess that you would have to pit pretty soon here, because those medium tires, if he started the race on them and he's been pushing as much as he has, I'm not sure if they're going to last him for too much longer. But then he could possibly go on the soft. I mean, if he can push them all the way up to about maybe lap 18 or 19. Last night I did 10 laps at the end of the race on a soft tire, and I gotta say, they were very quick and very durable, especially because I'm guessing, you know, the car was much lighter, you have less fuel on board, you can go a little bit quicker, and also by that point, you really work out a good tempo with your car, you really understand it throughout the race up until that point, and you know what it can do and how much you can really push it.
Yeah, ISRL Knight is down in 9th position. You were saying earlier that he was sort of up around the top 5, so just wondering what might have happened there. He's still behind D'Angelo and Golderator, and I'm just seeing Asio's probably going to have to pit. Well, he's definitely going to have to pit again before the end of the Grand Prix. And Arrow's probably going to need to make a pit stop soon. Of course, he pitted right at the start of the Grand Prix because of an incident that we unfortunately didn't see. Bam Bam has caught up to Ben Swerven, so we might be seeing Bam Bam make a move for 2nd place quite soon on the Williams driver.
And they are coming up to the DRS straight in just a few seconds here, and that's going to give a chance for Bam Bam to catch up to Ben Swerven. He has so much more straight line speed, and there he goes into 2nd place. Bam Bam is having a very good race so far. He doesn't have to stop here again. He's already made a stop. Asio, Ben Swerven, and Z-Grease are the 3 only runners that do not. And there goes Arrow. Arrow's into the pits for a second stop. So that's it for pretty much him. He's good to chase down everybody else until the end of the race. It looks like he will be going onto a set of medium tires. Oh no, a hard tire. No, a medium. Yeah, definitely a medium.
Yeah,
so
a medium, and he's going side by side with Flying Jippo out of the pits. The 2 Red Bull teammates going side by side through the S section here. Flying Jippo on his older hard tires has conceded that position to Arrow Fist-Sem, but I mean they're down in 11th and 12th, but these guys are leading the championship at the moment. So
this would be horrible for Red Bull. I mean, yeah, if they finish where they are right now, that is going to be absolutely horrible. Ben Swerven has now overtaken Asio, and those 2 are now battling through the exit of the spoon curve. Asio almost losing the back there, having to lift off the throttle just a touch, and now he's gotten a beautiful exit out of the spoon curve. Coming down into 130R, he's not close enough just yet, but now he's going to think about it into the last chicane. Going around the outside, he's going to be the last breaker. They make a tiny little bit of touch there, and Asio is back up into 3rd position now. I'm not really sure if this is a good time for him to be battling, because he's going to have to pit in just a little bit. He's just losing time here, and here comes Ben Swerven back at him again with DRS into the first corner. Not close enough on that occasion, but I'm sure they're going to have to battle for this position once again. Oh, and Ben Swerven lost the car. He lost the back there, and he's off onto the grass, back onto the track once again, but he lost the position there to M98 Racing, his own teammate.
Yeah, another issue of traction in this race on the hard tires. 13 lap old hard tires as well for Ben Swerven, so he's probably going to be feeling like a bit of a tractor right now, and he's losing a few positions, which I guess is not surprising. But Asio, like, a bit of the forgotten man. You know, in China we didn't really see him a lot, and then all of a sudden at the end of the race he was on the podium, and we kind of thought, how did he do that? And yet again, he's put himself right up there. He's in 3rd place, but of course he is going to have to make a pit stop at some point. I imagine that he'll be able to, well, he will be trying to extend this stint out for a few more laps, and then he can put on the softs. I don't want to be finishing the race on hard tires when you've already been on the mediums.
Sorry to interrupt there. D'Angelo is going for a move on Ben Swerven before 130R, and he makes it stick, and he's up into 5th position now. He's on a pretty good strategy here as well. Oh, we've got Golden Raider is out of the race. What happened to him?
Oh wow, he was sideways there just after 130R. I don't know what happened there, but yeah,
he's in the middle of the track with his car broken. Wow. This is a virtual safety car. I'm not sure if a real safety car is going to come out, because he's pretty much right in the middle of the track there. Intent is now coming into the last chicane. He's going to see this whole picture. Oh, slow down, Intent. Oh, Jesus.
I mean, if that isn't worthy of a safety car, I don't know what is. He's right in the middle of the track. He's missing a wheel. Arrow negotiates him reasonably well, and McLaren is going to be coming up soon. He seems to have backed off a bit more. Oh, Intent's out! What happened there?
What happened to Intent? I don't see him anywhere on the track. It looks like he retired in the pits.
Wow, maybe he's just had enough. It's been a pretty torrid evening for Intent, so yeah, he's in the pit lane, and it would seem has just chosen to retire. So now we have 4 retirements from this race. I think you said earlier, Blin, that there were, like 6 retirements from Silver Tier, and once again we're seeing a similar trend. It looks at the moment like if you can finish this race as they get going once again. Have they got going? It said DRS was enabled, but
yeah, we're back on, but it looks like the AI of Intent has come back out onto the track after pitting, and he is stopped on the exit of turn 1. We're back onto green, racing now.
Yeah, and we've got ISRL Knight in 7th place, catching up to the mobile chicane that is Ben Swerven at the moment on those old hard tyres as they come up to an actual chicane, the Casio chicane. Hopefully ISRL can put a move on Ben coming down into turn 1. He's going to have the DRS open, but Ben also has DRS. But will the slipstream effect work for ISRL Knight? It doesn't look like it, although he is pretty low on the ERS. Ben's gone a little bit wise, but There's no way through for ISRL there. And yeah, he's a little bit low on ERS, which is probably going to make overtaking a little bit harder at the moment. Ben's got about 24% ERS in front of him, so they're both struggling in that regard. But ISRL Knight will be looking as Ben dips a wheel on the grass, at least on my screen. He needs to make a move quite soon, I think, if he wants to stay with D'Angelo.
Look at M9H Racing catching up to Asio now. They're in the fight for the last step on the podium. M9H Racing does not have to pit again, but Asio will have to pit again. Oh, and they make a tiny little bit of contact coming into the first, into the entry of the spoon curve. They're very dangerous, but down the inside goes M9H Racing, and he makes it through onto the first, or the third step on the podium, doing an amazing job there, overtaking Asio. Asio's gonna have to pit pretty soon, but he's doing an incredible job pulling out those medium tires for 15 laps already. And I gotta say, even though he's lost that position there now, he's still sticking to the back of M9H Racing, and he's still putting in some good times. There he goes into the pits right now.
Yeah, so he decided he couldn't take those medium tires any longer. So will he be able to get to the end on softs? What's he pitting onto? Yeah, soft tires.
I think he has to. I mean, at this point, he's in a really good stage there. Here goes ISRL Knight down the inside into turn 1, overtaking Ben Swerven. Finally, after trying to do that for about 2 or 3 laps there, and ISRL Knight makes up another position all the way up into 5th now. Let's take a look at the position changes one more time here. Just to remind ourselves, Zegrees, who's currently leading the race, actually started the race in 15th place. He was not allowed to qualify in this one as he had a qualifying ban. Currently leading everyone on lap 17 of 27. I'm pretty sure though that Zegrees will still have to make another pit stop. Bam Bam, his teammate, is in 2nd place. He's only lost the 1 position from the start. M9H Racing has gained 3 positions. D'Angelo started 12th, currently running in 4th, and ISRL Knight started in 13th and currently running in 5th place, doing an incredible job. Those two guys, D'Angelo and Knight, and obviously Zegrees, we know that he has the pace, but what an incredible job from him. He's been pulling out those hard tires for 16 laps now. He's got an 11-second gap on his teammate Bam Bam. So this is almost like watching the real F1, because they're both in the Mercedes as well, so it's not really helping out. But I think he's gonna probably try to pull them out as long as he can, and then he's gonna be on a soft tire. He will drop a couple of positions. He might even drop all the way down to about 4th. So then it's going to be a matter of, balancing between how much time you're losing on this old tire versus how much time you're going to lose in the pits, and how many positions you have to make up and how many laps you're going to have left to do that. So how do you balance that? It's definitely a tricky one.
Yeah, Ben Swerven is 22 seconds pretty much now behind Zegrees. I think the pit lane here will cost you sort of in that region, maybe 21 or 22 seconds. So, I mean, I don't know if Zegrees will be aware of that in terms of what that gap is, but he maybe, if he could pit in the next lap or 2 and come out in around 6th place and maybe be within sort of 8 or 9 seconds of Bam Bam with the speed advantage he's going to have on those soft tyres. And as you mentioned before, Blin, soft tyres go pretty well around here. They're actually surprisingly durable, so he could make a grand charge towards the end of this race to try and get back up to the front.
Well, we have one person who's sort of doing that similar strategy, and that's Asio. He's just pitted for a soft tire a lap ago, so we can sort of see by his pace and how much he's going to be able to make up in terms of positions.
Zegrees has pitted onto softs.
Yeah, there we go. So Asio will be sort of the proving ground for how many positions, how quickly you can make up those positions. So far, he's made up a 1.5 seconds on Red Wing within the first 2 sectors of this lap, and both of them were purple. So he's about to set here what looks like is going to be the new fastest lap. Zegrees has come out of the pits in the 5th place, so he's only lost the 4 positions there. There goes Asio, 129.3, beating the previous fast lap by almost a second. So those soft tires, they've definitely got the pace, but it's all going to be about how much time you've got to make up that pace. We've got a yellow in sector 1. It looks like, is that D'Angelo? Yes, D'Angelo spun out.
Yeah, I didn't see what happened, but yeah, D'Angelo, that's That's where we had a crash earlier. I can't remember who it was who crashed out there, but that's just after the S-curve section. So, yeah, if you run wide onto the gravel there, you're going to end up losing a heap of time, as we've just seen happen to D'Angelo. And that's made things easier for Sigrid, who is up to 4th place already and closing in on ISRL Knight. And if Asio's pace is anything to go by, a 29.3 he's just set. Bam Bam's fastest lap is a 30.7, and that's just his fastest lap. So, you know, that's about a second and a half as Sigrid moves up into 3rd place. That's about a second and a half differential in pace. And what's the gap? 9.8 seconds to Bam Bam with 7 laps to go. So, in terms of just the math, it's easy to forecast that Sigrid can catch up to his teammate and challenge for the win. But maybe M9H will have something to say about that as well, because he's on the medium tyres, 2.5 seconds behind Bam Bam. He's not going to let Sigrid just walk past him if they do battle later on.
Yeah, I mean, if Sigrid can make it into 1st and he can win this race, this is going to be truly a last to first challenge in a league race, which is unheard of. I understand, you know, people doing it in Grand Prix mode, but oh my goodness, if that can happen here today, that will be an absolutely incredible performance. So Asio has, it's taken them 2 laps to catch up into the DRS zone of Red Wing. So, you know, as we mentioned, those soft tires are definitely giving you the time, but it's gonna be such a fine line for Sigrid to run. It doesn't
he's
seem
going down the inside of Red
inside.
Wing into the hairpin. He got on the curb, which is a bit risky, but he has made that move stick. I think Red Wing wisely stayed well out of the way there. So, yeah, Asio is up into 6th place. Ben Swervin has pitted onto the soft tyres as well. He's in 9th, so maybe he can have some good pace as well towards the end of this Grand Prix. And, yeah, Sigrid 5.5 seconds behind M9H, so he is going to be on the prowl here for the Williams and the Mercedes drivers ahead of him.
Yeah, it's not gonna be easy though. I mean, he's not making up that much time really. He's only made up about half a second in that lap on M9H Racing. And oh my goodness, ISRL Knight lost it. He touched the curb on the first part of turn 1, and that spun him out. I was just on board with him as that happened as well, so we got the complete view of that. So ISRL Knight down into 5th place. D'Angelo recovers 4th. And yeah, bouncing himself up through the positions there. Very impressive job for D'Angelo. But this race, it just shows us once again, it's not over until it's over. You can never really predict what's going to happen here. 1 millimeter off, one wrong touch on a curb, and you're off. And that's it for the race for you. I mean, happened to me twice last night, and it's already happened to some of the best in the business here. TCR Jones DNF'd out of the race in 10th. Golderator, we've now seen you know, ISRL Knight having a moment there. It's not an easy track at all.
Yeah, and Sigrid's first lap on the softs was actually 129.5, so not as quick as Asio's first lap, but he has got that gap down to 4 seconds to M9H Racing. Just to come back to your point as well, BLIN, in the last few years when Codemasters have been making these games, they've kind of made a point of making it more risky to ride the curbs. So anytime you touch the curbs, it does unsettle the car a bit more, and there are some curbs on this game which really can cause you to spin very easily. As we, oh my goodness, I was on board with Segrist and it looked like he was going straight into the wall, but I think that was just a glitch with the broadcast. But yeah, no dramas for Segrist. M9H was closing in on Bam Bam. He had got that gap down to under 2 seconds maybe a lap ago, but it's now back up in the 2.3 second range, and we're on like 22, and it's getting to the point where you think, well, can Segrist turn this around? And once he gets to the back of M9H Racing, is it going to be easy enough for him to force an overtake?
You know what could really turn this race around right now? a late safety car. Yeah. So it happened last night in Silver, and I noticed because of the length of this track and because of how slowly the safety car goes around here, it actually only does a total of 2 laps. It does the out lap, collects everyone, does 1 full lap, and goes in at the end of that 2nd lap. So if it comes out right now, all it's really going to do is it's just gonna bunch everybody up. I don't think anybody's gonna pit. Nobody really has enough of a window to, so it's really just gonna bunch up the field and give us a little bit of action. We're gonna have to wait and see if that will happen. M9H Racing is now cutting down that gap, down under the 2 seconds, but Seagree's still sitting around that 3.5 second gap. So not really doing enough of a job here, and that's what I was saying. You know, if you push those soft tires too hard, then you have to recover the temperatures and the performance from them again on the next lap or so, and it's just, I don't feel like Seagree's left himself enough time.
No, and I'm just thinking, Blin, last week we said the Codemasters gods or whatever were smiling down on the race by giving us a late safety car. If they could just do that again, that would be pretty awesome right now. Or even better, maybe a suggestion for the next F1 game, if those in spectator mode could have the option to call out a safety car just whenever they felt like, that would be awesome.
Just like an arcade mode for commentator, a Joker card, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you know, one thing though that I keep on asking for is, please give us a weather report. Give us a little bit more information on, you know, the breakdown of the laps and of the information on wear and things like that. Those new graphics that came into the actual broadcast of F1 for this year, they're actually pretty cool. You know, I know that they're just an estimation based on an algorithm of tire wear and normally what that tire would do and how that driver drives and whatnot, but it's still something for us to talk about. It's more tools for us to use to give you and to show to the viewers, but especially the weather report. Every time we start a race, it's sort of, you know, we don't really know what's going to happen. We just sort of have to wait or hope that one of the drivers that's watching can give us a comment into the video, into the stream, and let us know what the weather is. It would be really nice if Codemasters had a weather report for the spectators.
Yeah, I'm just thinking as well, because there are like phone apps that you can get which will give you like additional data to what the game gives you. I think it's called like Sim Dashboard or something, and I wonder if you can use that in spectator mode, in fact, to sort of give you that extra information. Might be worth sort of looking into that for the future. But anyway, for now, we just have what we have, and we've had a completely dry race here today, which I'm sure the drivers are very thankful for. Japan has had a few very wet races in real F1 down the years. I think back to maybe the 1994 Grand Prix when Damon Hill won, I believe, in like torrential rain. And qualifying, I think, for the 2010 Japanese Grand Prix was postponed due to weather as well. So there is the potential in Japan, but we haven't seen anything like that today. Now, Asio is closing in on ISRL Knight for 5th place, coming through 130R. ISRL Knight defending the inside. We've seen Asio and they've gone deep into that corner and had a bit of contact. Yeah. I wonder if ISRL Knight has just conceded the position there.
Yeah, that was a little bit touch and go there from both of the drivers. I think ISRL Knight just overshot his braking zone, and that's why he's decided to let him back through. I'll tell you one other thing, though. M9H Racing, he's almost within a second of Bam Bam. He's still got a couple of laps to go as well. So unlike Seagrease, who possibly didn't leave himself enough time, although Seagrease is only 2.3 seconds behind him as well, but M9H Racing, he could possibly go for a very, very late charge and late lunge here on Bam Bam to take away the win from them. He's currently splitting the Mercedes cars. It's actually amazing to say that a Williams is splitting 2 Mercedes cars on the podium, obviously because of the current state of affairs in real F1, but it's very exciting here towards the end. Even if we don't get that safety car that we're hoping for, I think it might come down to just pure racing pace between 3 different compounds of tires. Z-Grease on the soft, M9H Racing on the medium, Bam Bam on the hard, leading the race. All of them completely different strategies in terms of when they pitted as well. Bam Bam has been on the hards since pretty much lap 11. Looks like M9H Racing pitted a lap later than that, but Z-Grease has just come into for those softs just 6 laps ago, and now M9H Racing just briefly broke into the 1 second gap there. Oh, now he's really within that 1 second gap there, about 0.8 of a second behind and catching up, so he might catch up into that DRS at the end of this lap.
Yeah, and you were mentioning about the tyre compounds. They're in the perfect order as well, because in theory, well, we're seeing it happen. The slowest guy is at the front, and then you've got the medium compound, the second quickest compound in the middle, and at the back you've got the soft compound with Z-Grease, and they are all converging on each other. M9H is 0.8 of a second behind Bam Bam. If he can get in his slipstream on the back straight and keep it tidy through the final chicane, he could be well set to take the lead on the last lap of this race, Kimi Räikkönen style in 2005 against Giancarlo Fisichella. What can Z-Grease do as well? He's 1.7 seconds back from M9H, but he can see the 2 guys ahead of him. He's going to be like a ferret up a drain pipe, to use an old Murray Walkerism, to try and get in on this action and see if he can maybe steal the win from the 2 guys ahead of him. Last lap now.
And M9H Racing unfortunately lost some time there coming through Spoon and onto the back straight. And now Z-Grease is within almost a second of M9H Racing. So this has just been flipping back and forth. And right towards the end of the race, on the last lap, this could still turn in anyone's direction here. We don't know about penalties or anything else. But as if we're just judging by pure, racing and hoping that nobody's got the penalties, the only real overtaking spot that's left for Z-Grease or for M9H Racing, anybody of them, is just going to be that back straight coming out of Spoon, unless somebody makes a mistake. We're watching on board with Z-Grease as he's catching up to M9H Racing so much faster and faster. He was over a second on the last lap. He's now within 0.6 of both of the cars. He can see both of the leaders in front this Japanese Grand Prix here in round 3 of Golden Class in season 10 of TCR. It is kicking off right towards the end. They're coming into Spoon right now. Let's see what sort of a run M9H Racing gets through there, keeping it tidy, keeping it nice and close to the curbs there. Z-Grease got a little bit of ERS. He's only got about 6%. He is using his overtake right now, running down into the last chicane. I don't think there's going to be any more space to go, but he's catching up so much quicker. He's only 0.3 behind now. Is he going to go for a late lunge? He's going to go around the outside. He makes a tiny bit of contact with M9H Racing. He spins M9H Racing a little bit now, and he's taking the 2nd place, but I think this is probably going to be reviewed after the race because M9H Racing is not going to be happy with that. Bam Bam is your winner here today, managing to keep Z-Grease behind him in 2nd with that very, very late move on M9H Racing, who finishes the race in 3rd. D'Angelo is going to come home in 4th. Asio making another great recovery drive into 5th place. ISRL Knight 6th, just crossing the line right now. Red Wing Racing is going to cross in 7th. Aero Fizen in 8th. He's probably not going to be happy with that one. He started the race much higher than that. Ben Swerven in 9th. Flying Jippo is going to take that last point, but he, of course, was on pole here today, and this has definitely hurt him quite a bit. There he comes across the line, not happy about it, slamming his car into the wall, and P1 McLaren is going to be the last person to cross. So, well, very late drama there at the end. What do you think about that last dire chicane move there?
I think the stewards are going to have something to say about it, to be honest. I was on board with Z-Grease, and it kind of looked like he just, I would say he's worthy of driver of the day as that. Yeah, I think that was a bit over the limit there from Z-Grease. He pretty much just pushed. Oh my god, I've forgotten who it was. M9H, sorry. He pretty much pushed M9H wide there, and you know, I mean, I can understand why he was doing it. He really wanted to get that place, but yeah, a bit over the limit for me.
Yeah, people in the comments, like Nelzy, is also thinking that that was a little bit dirty. T. Fedek was exclaiming, "Oh my God," when that happened, and definitely, I don't think it was a very dirty move, but I don't think it was a very clean one either. But either way, Bam Bam taking the win and the pole position. I did get that one wrong. I saying that Flying Jippo got pole position, but Flying Jippo actually started 5th. So Bam Bam taking pole and the win. Z-Grease finishing 2nd after coming from 15th. M9H Racing in 3rd. D'Angelo in 4th. Asio in 5th. ISRL Knight in 6th. Red Wing Racing in 7th. Aero Fizzen finished in 8th. Ben Swerven in 9th. Flying Jippo took the last point on the grid here today. McLaren P1 was the last finisher, and then in 10th, Golden Raider, You Having a Giggle, and TCR Jones have all retired from this race here tonight. But what a race it was! Right from the start, we had just a bunch of close battles, and it looks like, you know, those close battles went all the way up to about lap 20 in all kinds of different incidents. We had a couple of virtual safety cars. We did not get a safety car in full here, but either way, I just gotta say that was absolutely an incredible job from all of our drivers. Great job from Bam Bam. Great job from Z-Grease recovering from all the way down at the back of the grid to finishing, even if he ends up finishing in 3rd. After, you know, review of that particular incident, I still gotta give it to him. Definitely driver of the day. So yeah, Chatty Duck, go ahead and invite our podium drivers. We're gonna see if we can get them on the stream here, and we will talk to them and we will see what happened. I see that Z-Grease has just joined the party. We're gonna give it another second here and wait until possibly we get Bam Bam and M9H Racing as well.
Yeah, I've sent Bam Bam a couple of invites.
Bam ain't gonna make it, he said.
Okay.
Alright.
I've invited
Had some dinner waiting on him.
Okay, I've invited M9H as well. Maybe I'll spam him a bit.
All right. Well,
since we have
Z-Grease already with us, man, what an exciting race that was. And you know, that obviously we have to discuss that last move that you did on M9H Racing into the last chicane. You know, reminiscent of, I think, was it Ayrton Senna and someone that came together there and prevented Ayrton from winning the championship, but then he ended up getting pushed back on the track as well. But I mean, other than that, even if you end up, you know, getting that position taken away from you, end up finishing in 3rd, you came from 15th all the way from the back of the grid, not being able to qualify, having a qualifying ban, and you finished on the podium. Just tell us about it from your perspective. How did it go? What helped you out today?
Yeah, I just had to, I knew I had to just sit back and not get tangled up in anything off the start, and I was able to keep my nose pretty clean till everybody else pitted and ran up front for a while and came out in a pretty good spot on the softs and was able to make a run up for 2nd place there, so pretty good.
And any comment about that last chicane move? Would you say that was a fair move, or, you know, what did it look like?
Yeah, he blocked the inside going into the right-hand part. I went to the left side, and then he didn't leave me any room coming back across the left side, so looked good from my point of view.
Okay,
we'll see what the stewards say, I imagine.
Yeah, let's hear about it actually from...
already had a win taken away last week. So.
Let's hear about it from M9H Racing. He's joined up in the party now as well, and since we've just been talking about that last chicane move, what do you think about it from your perspective? Do you think you know, that was a good move, or was it a clean one, or are you going to be submitting that for review? Just tell us about it.
Yeah, man. I mean, I can't hate on going for the move. You know, you got to do what you got to do. I mean, send it. Like, I'm all for sending it, so I can't blame him for the move. I mean, I'll have to go back and watch the video before I comment too much on it, but I will be submitting it and seeing what the stewards come up with. So, but I can't blame him for, you know, shooting the shot. So.
Yeah, and I mean, either way, if you get 2nd or 3rd after the review, I think you started the race in 9th, correct me if I'm wrong, and coming back onto the podium, that is an incredible job. What helped you out here today? You know, was it just staying out of trouble, or was it your strategy?
Yeah, I think I just staying out of trouble finally. I think this is the first race I didn't have a spin or anything in the first lap, so that was quite nice. And yeah, I had a lot of fun and it was great. So I did end up putting the mediums on instead of the hards. I did see the winner of the silver class yesterday went to the medium, so I just thought I'd give it a go. Why not?
All right, Chatty Duck, do you have any questions for Z-Grease or for M9?
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions actually. Well, for both of you, I guess, talking sort of coming towards the end of that race, you guys and Bam Bam were all converging on each other. The gaps were coming down. It was about 2 seconds covering all three of you as we came to the last lap. And I'm just wondering if, in turn, you could just maybe describe what your emotions are at that point when you know that it's getting close and exciting at the end, and how you sort of manage the expectations or the adrenaline at that point.
Seagrace, you take that first.
I just there at the end, I just knew I was on the softs and I had to push like hell, so I was giving her a go, and then yeah, just at the same time knew I didn't want to do anything dumb to cost myself spots, but yeah, I was going after it, I guess.
Yeah, I knew I probably wasn't gonna catch Bam Bam. I had pushed a couple times on a couple laps, turned it up, and I'd close the gap a little bit, but once I turned it back down, we'd kind of sit at the same pace. So I was kind of trying to inch my way forward every now and then, but also manage the gap to where I didn't completely run out of everything like I did on the last straight. That's what happened. I just ran out of ERS and fuel, so just mismanaged it a little bit.
Yeah. And Seagrace, one more thing. You were fourth in the championship coming into this race, but you finished ahead of all of your rivals today, so you'll definitely
Nice.
be moving up.
Cool.
What's your take on the championship? Like, how do you feel you can do going into the next few races?
I know I was just thinking before this race, my first couple seasons, this being my third season TCR here, second in gold, one in silver. Both my other seasons, I kind of started off slow and clawed my way back into the top 5 in the championship, so I'm starting off pretty good at the start this year, so hopefully I can be there to fight for it at the end this time.
Okay, well done today, guys.
Absolutely, and congratulations both of you on the podium finish. I guess it's gonna be up to the steward's review to decide who finishes on which step of that podium. Unfortunately, of course, we couldn't get Bam Bam into the session, but great job everyone. Congratulations again, and great job to all of the golden drivers today. So I guess this is a good place to end it off on. What an exciting race that was. If you guys missed out on it, definitely please go back and rewatch it, because it was so exciting today. And just like every single time in Japan, I feel like anytime it's going there in real life or we go there in any league race, so unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen, who's going to spin out. It could be the leader, could be anybody else. Just one wrong touch on the wrong curve and you are out. So that's exactly what we had here today. A little bit of a mix of strategies. A couple of people had incidents, but overall that was one hell of a Grand Prix. Chatty Duck, I want to thank you so much again for joining me today in the commentator booth, your second appearance in TCR, and definitely I hope there's more to come from you in this season and later in TCR, of course. Thank you again so much.
Pleasure, and thank you for leading again. You do a great job, Blin, with the commentary, so it's just a pleasure to be involved with you.
Thank you again, and also massive thank you to all of you guys who've been watching this stream so far. Leave us a like, leave us another comment on the race, let us know what you guys want to see in the next race, or if there's anything that we missed out on. We always try to improve on our streams, but we will be back here again tomorrow night with another Grand Prix in Japan, another Suzuka crazy Grand Prix. I'm sure it will be in Platinum class. It's always very exciting in that one. It's the pinnacle of TCR. Those guys are extremely close to each other in terms of pace, and they don't give an inch on the track either. Another really cool treat that I've got lined up for you guys tomorrow. It looks like there will be an appearance from a commentator that used to be a regular in this league, and I'm sure all of you guys and all of the drivers in Platinum will be very, very happy to hear his voice again. I'm not gonna say who it is yet, but you know, for a lot of people, they can probably figure it out. But you will hear him on the stream tomorrow, and I'm so excited for that. So join us tomorrow. Also join us next week for another race of Golden Class. We're gonna be in Singapore next week. But again, to all of you watching from home, thank you so much for watching. Also, huge thank you to our affiliate sponsor again, Fanatec, for doing an incredible job of supporting our league. And you can support us as well by checking out the link in the description. So thanks again, everyone. Have yourselves a great night. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Platinum Class Round 3 of Season 10 in TCR. And that's going to be back here in Japan again. Have a great night, everyone, and we'll see you tomorrow.